All right, so I'll just start and then whoever comes in will come in. For this one, we probably will keep it about an hour. I'll also, because I'm going to be doing a lot of command work in here, any questions you guys have, please feel free to ask, okay? This is Ignite, and we're working on strengthening relationships, okay? How do we strengthen relationships? We're gonna get into a little bit of that as we go. All right. I'm just reading a note just to make sure that I'm making sure I'm saying what they. So the last one we worked on, the last class that I did, right, was following up with your, or keep every leads. Last one was following up with your leads. This is strengthening relationships. So by the end of today, we want to have some follow-up principles for leads and contacts, okay? We want you guys to be able to create a 36 touch plan. Sometimes 36 touch plan a year, it might not make sense for you. Maybe it's 30, maybe it's 25. But I'm going to outline what the Keller Williams 36 touch plan looks like, and kind of show you guys how to put it into command so that you can use it. All right. What do you guys think? And remember, this is an interactive class. We want to make sure that we talk to each other a little bit. All right. Question for you guys. What mindset do you need to adapt to successfully nurture relationships with clients? Anybody have an answer to that? What mindset do you need to adapt to successfully nurture relationships with clients?
Follow up with them.
Follow up with them. Yep, that's right. That's part of it. Anybody else? Isaac, do you have anything? What mindset do we need to adapt to successfully nurture relationships with clients?
I think, you know, from the outset, really get a clear understanding of what's important to them, what their goals are.
Mm-hmm. I think it's some of what both of you guys said, right? The reality is, it's like people will work with agents whose proximity or emotional proximity to them is the strongest at the time they're ready to transact. What does that mean? People work with agents whose emotional proximity to them is the strongest at the time they're ready to transact. As real estate agents, we cannot control when that moment happens. People will be ready to buy or sell on their own timelines. So what does that mean?
So when they are ready, they see your name in the follow-up systems that you constantly showing them that you are there for them all the time.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The words that I use in a lot of the productivity classes that I teach, right? It's important, right, Julia? And you've heard me say this before. It's important to be top of mind. Okay. So imagine if Adrian and Isaac and Julia are not realtors and they're sitting around at dinner, like a friend dinner, and then Adrian goes, "Oh, I mean, I just got promoted. I'm thinking about, you know, possibly buying a condo in Cupertino," right? The people in this business that do really, really well is if then Isaac chimes in and says, "Oh, Adrian, I got this great real estate agent that I work with. I'd love to refer him to you." Okay. So in order for Isaac to say that to Adrian, what do you guys think in regard to time and effort needs to take place to get top of mind with Isaac enough that he recommends me to Adrian? How much time and effort do you think is involved in that? Anybody?
More
So
than
If you, hey, good morning, Travis and everyone. Yeah,
Good
so
morning.
if we have smart plants set up, then it is the initial time that it requires to, once they are in command, attach a smart plant to them.
Yeah. So, so when I talk to everybody in the productivity courses, right? And let's say we're working on farming, okay? We're working on farming, Virshali, how long do I tell you that you need to connect with somebody every month, once a month, in your farm in order for them to possibly interact with you or do a transaction with you? In your farm, how long does that process take?
So if it is new farm, 18 months is minimum.
Mhm.
Anywhere between 12 months to 18 months, unless they are really ready and they were just waiting for a realtor.
Right.
But
So I want to make
for-
sure, I want to make sure you guys understand, right, that as we go through this, right, we're talking about strengthening relationships. A lot of times realtors in this business, they like to do one-offs, right? I'm going to call this person once, or I'm going to knock on their door once. I'm going to drop something off at their house once. I'm going to do some sort of event in my neighborhood once, right? Any kind of one-off in real estate, right? You're going to be unsuccessful for the most part with that strategy. The creation of relationships and the use of command and the use of a 36 touch plan that we're going to talk about here, you have to be open and okay with that taking 12 to 18 months in order for it to stick. Because I said at the beginning, right, people work with real estate agents whose emotional proximity to them is the strongest at the time they're ready to transact. We cannot control when a buyer or seller is going to be ready to transact. It's important though that you are in front of them, right? What we can control is our emotional proximity to the people in the world that we follow up with. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I'm just going to show you guys, and we're going to talk about how to set up contact plans with clients that are automated and in a system, right? So you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Well, as I go through, everybody can see the slide, right? Okay. So this is leads versus contacts. Okay. What do you guys think? Or who has seen this model before? The lead generation or database model. Some people kind of see it, I guess, as a funnel, right? Sometimes we talk about a funnel. What's the difference between a lead or a contact?
Travis, we
Yeah.
cannot see your slides. It shows hidden slides. At least I cannot see.
What can you see?
It shows facilitator,
Yeah, I see
prepared for
this. I
success.
see the same slide.
Oh, so it doesn't.
And it
What
shows-
slide? What slide are you guys seeing?
So it shows facilitator, prepare for success, and then on top it says hidden slides. Hidden slide.
All right, let me get Raymond really quick, okay? He should have this set up the right way. Hold on. Raymond. Not showing the right slide. Raymond is here, he'll fix it for us. So they said they don't see this. They see, like, they don't see this slide. They see, what do you guys say you see right now?
See hidden slide, facilitator, prepare for success.
They're on a different slide.
Yeah, now it's
Now,
good.
Wait, now it's there? So they're saying that, they're not saying.
Now
Now cost overview.
Today's agenda?
See, so they're only saying that other one.
Just FYI, right now we are seeing the page that says course overview.
So they're saying that. Is it because that's what it's attached to? Stop that screen share. Then maybe bring it to the other one.
What's the percentage?
See, go to that, see if it, go to presenter view, see if it doesn't.
Or that is going to see.
Yeah. You guys see all of our notes?
Today's the agenda.
We see right now the page, we see today's agenda.
They're doing.
So basically like it's not switching on our end. We're trying to close it now. For some reason, I think maybe it's.
Is there any way you can just let them see that? Like, even if they see our notes, that's fine.
Then I can't see the rest of the slide.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna move this over
I'm
here.
just gonna see this over to work with it.
So just make that smaller.
Do you guys see it changing? Or no?
Did it change?
Yes. Okay, so that's gonna make sense. Good enough.
Do half screens or something?
Yeah.
So is it on the same? So if I,
Yeah, so now it's on course overview and then today's agenda.
okay, so you guys only see the today's agenda slide.
Yes,
Okay, perfect. That might be it.
Okay.
Right, perfect. Lucky we have Raymond, guys. Thanks, Raymond. It'll be, I might come get you when I go back to command. Okay. I did say at the beginning that we might run into this a little bit. You guys can see this right here. Lead generation, database model. Everyone can see this.
We see leads versus contacts.
Okay, and you see the little tube on the side, lead capture,
Yes.
your database. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you define the difference between an actual lead and a contact? What do you guys think? Let's just talk about that. What's the difference? Isaac, leads versus contacts. If you guys don't talk, I'll just call on you. All right.
so I'm thinking, I mean, leads are actually gonna be someone who's gonna buy or sell a home. And contacts could be maybe our sphere.
So like somebody that might buy or sell a home, is that what you're talking about? Or,
Sure,
yeah, so a lead is essentially, we're working at an open house. Somebody comes in, it's a potential buyer, right? Is that a lead or is that a contact?
lead.
Correct. It's a lead, right? So based on this system, if you look at the lead capture model right here, so you meet people at an open house. Essentially what we talked about in a previous class is you would set that person up on a 19-to-1 touch plan, right? That person is a lead. Maybe that person's a lead for 10 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. That person then responds to one of your emails or answers a phone call or wants to go see houses or whatever. Once that person responds to you, that person becomes a contact. Okay. That contact, then what we're saying in this model is you would then up it from, say, 19 touches. You change your plan in command. You go from, say, 19 to 36 touches. Okay. So once you capture your lead, you start communicating with your lead. Once the lead responds to you or you get some sort of traction, you start prepping that lead for possible sale, right? So strengthening existing relationships. That's what we're going to work on a little bit today. Okay. And everybody has heard in this business, right? If we talk about kind of the funnel model, right? Where you just are pouring in a ton of leads at the top, sphere of influence, the parents of your kids' sports teams, your neighbors, door knocking, open houses, whatever. All those people are going into the top. That doesn't mean everyone is going to transact in real estate, right? Once those people respond to you or you have some sort of positive interaction with them about real estate, then we would change our plan a little bit. Okay, does everybody understand that?
Little bit.
Okay, what kind of questions do you have? Let's talk about it while we're here.
You were telling about the leads, how many times contacts once they answered the phone. How many times in contact do you have to do for a year?
Well, I mean, I said if you're farming, so if you're just door knocking a neighborhood, statistically, that door knocking a neighborhood before you get any kind of traction in that neighborhood, that could take you 18 months. Same as if you're mailing flyers out to people, right? You'd have to mail a flyer out to the same address statistically 18 times, right? Once a month for 18 months, right? So if you guys look at this, and obviously there are some people that are going to interact with you quicker, okay? But I say this too in a lot of my productivity classes, that you keep communicating with your lead, right? Or your contact until they either do a transaction or they tell you to piss off or stop calling me or you get blocked, right? Or they, you know, they cancel out of your smart plan or whatever, right? But if you guys look at this, leads versus contacts. So a lead is one-way conversation, right? So that is, say Isaac is somebody I met at an open house. I call Isaac. Isaac answers. We talk for 30 seconds. We hang up. I text Isaac. Whatever. I going back and forth with Isaac, but primarily it's one-way conversation. Maybe Isaac is not super interested in buying or selling real estate right now. That's a one-way conversation. Okay, that is a lead. Okay. We're saying people that have moved into contact status, that's two-way communication. So what would Isaac have to do for me to categorize Isaac as a possible contact, not just a lead?
Respond back to you any way that you reached out to me via email, text, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Expressing an interest in working together, perhaps,
Yeah.
or being okay with campaigns or, you know, follow-ups and whatnot.
I talked to my last class for a couple of you that were on, but I have one of my son's hockey dads. His name is David. I had David on a 24 touch plan, not 19, but 24 in command. Okay. I would consider him a lead. He's a parent. So I was sending him the monthly neighborhood nurture email and that goes out every month. I was calling David once a month, either a call or a text. This went on for about a year. Okay. Even when I talked to him on the phone, I wasn't necessarily talking about real estate. It was sometimes just about hockey or kids hockey or whatever. I was just staying in front of him. About 3 weeks ago, right? David sends me a text and says, hey, my wife and I are thinking about moving out to Brentwood or Oakley. And, you know, we potentially want to buy a new build. Can you help us out with that? Right? Immediately, David went, in my mind, from a lead to a contact. Okay. I was communicating with him different at this point, right? He's still getting my monthly neighborhood nurture email. He's still getting the calls from me, but I added additional phone calls. I added his birthday in, and then I set him up on like a drip property campaign through the MLS as well. Okay, so now I'm sending him properties. It's not just checking in. So it's a little bit different. It gets at the beginning, it's like you're fishing, right? You have your line in there, you're fishing. When somebody bites onto it, right, you go harder, right? You pull it out a little bit. Okay, you have to understand the difference. You don't want to pump everybody the same way. Okay. So understanding the difference between someone that you just met at an open house, you're going to set that person up in a system. Okay. You're going to communicate with that person. And once they show some sort of two-way communication or they start talking to you about real estate, we're going to change how we approach that client a little bit. Okay. Anybody have questions? I just want to make sure we understood the difference between those two before we moved on. So if you look at the bottom two, it says prepare contacts for conversations, interactive and need-based offerings. Okay. What I mean by needs-based offerings is every client also is different. Okay. They might be looking for something different. Somebody might be looking to move to Palm Springs and they need a referral. Like they're looking, maybe someone is, you know, they have an elderly parent that wants to move to a 55 and over community in a different area. Maybe someone's looking for a condo. Maybe someone's looking for a townhouse. Maybe someone's looking to buy an investment property or a duplex in Sacramento, right? Your conversations are going to be different for every single person that you've moved into the contact category. So you have to be a little bit specific when we set this stuff up as well, okay? It's not like a one-size-fits-all communication strategy. And I'll show you guys a little bit of that when we get into the command part of it, all right? So focus on building relationships and take market share. Real estate in general, right, is a relationship building business, all right? With Vershali, what are the 3 things that I tell you in productivity classes that you need to do in order to get somebody to do a transaction with you? What are the 3 things that you have to accomplish? Vershali, you still there? It looks like she's gone. All right. Well, I'll answer my own question. In order to have somebody complete a real estate transaction with you, right? They have to, and write this down, they have to know, like, and trust you. All 3 things have to be in place. Okay, it's the largest transaction that they've ever went through in their life, and they have to know, like, and trust you. If you meet somebody at an open house, does somebody tell me how long when someone walks into an open house and they're just looking at open houses on the weekend, how long do you have to interact with that person typically when they walk into an open house? Somebody chime in. How long do you typically have to interact with somebody when they come into an open house?
Like throughout the whole open house, like, I mean, for me, it could be like 5 minutes, just a few minutes, and trying to get their contact info.
I think 5 minutes is a high number, Robbie, but
Okay.
still it would work the same for what I'm trying to say to you guys right now, right? So let's say somebody you've never met in your entire life, they walk into an open house, okay? Some agents, right when they walk into the open house, their scripts are such that, you know, within the first 10 seconds, they've asked, hey, do you have a realtor? You know, hey, do you have a lender, right? People don't really like that type of interaction, right? So if you have 5 minutes, right, to work with somebody, if in order for that person to do a real estate transaction with you, and if I'm saying that in order for that real estate transaction to happen, they have to know, like, and trust you. Which one of those 3 items do you have a chance at getting in that 5 minutes?
Like,
Yes, like. Okay. This is where I think there's a lot of real estate agents that struggle in the open house business or even in real estate in general, is because a lot of times they try to go straight for the close right at the beginning, and the person doesn't even like you yet. They don't know you and they don't trust you. Reframe how you're thinking about conversations, because it's all about building relationships. When I work open houses, my main goal is to make them like me and then give me their contact information. And then I will continue the relationship building over time, right? Maybe it's a phone call tomorrow or a buyer consultation. Maybe I'm going to show them houses later that day. The relationship building will continue, right? But the only thing you have when you first interact with somebody, the only chance you have of those 3 things is for them to like you. You have to build the rest later. Okay, and really think about that when you first get a lead, right? It's not a contact yet, it's a lead. And in order for that person to turn into a contact, maybe they have to like you and know you. They don't trust you yet, right? But maybe you have 2 of those things. Okay, maybe they've seen your name in an email all the time, you've called them every month, whatever your scenario is. Okay, but I think it's really important that you guys process the lead generation models like this. Okay, it's all about building relationships, and sometimes the relationship building in this funnel that we're talking about, it takes time, and it's okay if it takes time. Everybody have comments or questions about that?
Hey Travis, this is Warren.
Hey.
Quick question. So in the case of what you said earlier, obviously we don't want to take too long to in the open house to question everything at the beginning. So what is your approach in terms of when I first walked in? How would you begin the conversation? What would you ask at the beginning, and then things like that? What's your approach?
All right, so I have it super memorized, right? We work on it all the time in the classes that we teach. But Isaac, I'm gonna have you be, and I keep calling on Isaac because on my screen, he's like the main guy I can see. So Isaac, you are a potential buyer that's walking into an open house. Okay, so you just walked in. Isaac's taking off his shoes at the front door, right? Hey, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Good. It kind of sucks that it's still raining out there today. I'm just hoping you can stay kind of dry.
Yeah, I don't mind the weather too much.
Yeah. So, are you out looking at open houses today?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. How many have you seen already?
We looked at about 3 houses
Yeah.
so far.
Awesome. So you don't live in the neighborhood then? You're kind of from out of the area looking around here?
Yeah, I'm from Gilroy. I just got a job transfer to Sunnyvale. I'm out here looking at some houses.
How long have you been looking already?
So we've been looking for about 2 weeks.
Have you written any offers yet?
No, we haven't written any offers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's 1,100 square feet. Go ahead and take a look around. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be right here. But the house is all yours. Go ahead and look around.
Perfect. Thank you.
So then I send him on, right? So did I ask Isaac if he has a realtor?
In a sense, yes.
Inadvertently, but
Yeah.
not directly.
Not directly, okay. Did I come across like a car salesman, or was I more or less just asking questions?
Did not sound like a car salesman.
Right. Okay, what information did I get from Isaac when he walked in? Warren, I'll ask you because you asked the question. What info did I gather from Isaac?
His purpose for the for shopping. And what, like you said, indirect question about whether he has an agent or not.
Yep, so I found out there's a chance that Isaac does not have an agent, correct? There's a chance. Because he hasn't written any offers yet. Also, he's been looking for a house for 2 weeks. He's from Gilroy, he's from out of the area. He possibly is transferring up here, kind of like just starting his property search. I think the one question I could have asked, maybe to narrow it in a little more, is like, are you a first-time home buyer, or is this going to be your second home? I could have asked something like that. Okay, but the reality is I didn't come across like a car salesman. I wasn't asking a ton of questions, right? I wasn't going after his phone number right away, but I now know that Isaac is a potential client for me, right? And I'm starting to like prep myself on what I'm going to say to him when he comes back, right? So usually I have 4 or 5 minutes while they're in the house walking around. Isaac might walk by me a couple times also. If he does, I might shoot another little question at him along the way, whatever it might be. But if Isaac would have said, yeah, I've written 4 offers already. Okay, so what information did Isaac just give me if he would have said that?
Was working with a realtor.
Yeah, he's probably working with a realtor, and especially with open houses now, they've been a lot busier, correct? So what if 3 people walk into your open house at once? One of them says, if you say you can get through most of that script with all of them at some point, and then one of them says, I haven't written any offers yet, and then 2 say, yeah, we've already written 4 or 5 offers. Who are you going to spend the most time talking to in the open house?
The one who hasn't written any offers.
Correct. And even I still haven't directly asked him if he's written any, if he has an agent or not. Okay, but I genuinely got that information from him. Okay, did Isaac, are you still on the call?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, so Isaac now comes back. All right, so Isaac, what do you think of the place?
It looks good. Me and my wife were having some discussions about it, and we like the floor plan. We like that it has hardwood floors throughout the house. We like the schools, and it seems pretty good.
What when you're walking around, like what was your favorite part of the place?
Well, I like the master bedroom with the jacuzzi in it, and the jacuzzi tub and the walk-in closet. My wife likes the fact that it's got hardwood floors all the way through the house, and and that's pretty much what our takeaways were.
So you said when you walked in that you guys have been looking for about 2 weeks already. I'm just curious, what do you guys think is your timeline? When you guys think you might try to buy a house?
I mean, if we find the right house, we can buy the house now.
Yeah, awesome. Have you talked to a lender yet, or are you really just getting started in the process?
No, I haven't talked to a lender yet, and yeah, we're just getting started in the process.
All right, so at this point, guys, I don't need to go through it all that much more. Isaac is definitely a client that will probably be working with me. Do you guys feel that? Like, I can, what I've got out of it is when they come back from looking at the house, still, you don't go straight into the sell, okay? So ask them what they thought about the house. What did they think about the neighborhood? You could even say, do you have any feedback on the house that I could give the seller? The seller wanted me to ask some people, right? I found out like his motivation, like what's his motivation for moving? I now know his timeline. I now know he doesn't have a lender. So my scripts kind of change at this point too, right? Well, Isaac, I do have a couple lenders I work with. As a real estate agent, I don't get any commission back for recommending lenders. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. But I can forward you the contact info of a couple different lenders, just so you could set up times and talk to them and see what would work best for you. How does that sound?
That sounds great, Travis. Thank you.
Well, I do recommend that you talk to more than one lender. And the reason for that is because lenders can give different interest rates, right? So I always recommend to my client, I have a couple lenders that I work with directly, but even though I work with a lender directly, I still advise that you talk to more than one lender.
Got it.
Why would I say that to somebody? Know, like, and trust is something that I need to get. Why would I say that to somebody?
Trust.
Think about it. Trust. Okay? Because now what I'm doing is I'm telling Isaac, hey, I got your back, right? I got your back, man. Like, let's get you the best deal possible. I'm not just going to shove my preferred lender down your throat. Here's the name of a couple different lenders, and you know, go ahead and have conversations. I got a client at a open house a couple weeks ago because the agent that, you know, they had seen a couple houses with earlier on was trying to ram their preferred lender down their throat, so to speak, and they didn't really like them. And I said, well, have you talked to more than one lender? And, you know, the guy's like, well, I mean, the agent said that if they pull my credit more than once, that my credit rating is going to get dinged. So I kind of just had to go with this one person, you know. And then I gave him like a sense of, you know, honesty and reality. Well, that's actually not the case. When you start home shopping, Isaac, the lenders, right, and the credit bureaus, they know that you're looking for a house, and you're allowed to get your credit pulled 2 or 3 times as long as it's in a short period of time and you're not doing it a lot. They factor in that you're looking for a house. So I still would advise that you talk with more than one lender, because, you know, a lender, the difference between a mortgage broker and, say, Wells Fargo, or a mortgage broker and Chase, the difference between the two could be pretty significant. So are you open to, you know, to talking to someone else, right? So I've built in like a little bit of trust already, because he thinks maybe I have his back, right? So now I'm going to get his phone number to pass on the contact information of my lender, his phone number, his email, right? At this point, I would just say, you know, Isaac, do you have any questions about the property? Would you like me to send you the disclosures so you can review them?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see the disclosures. If you could send that to me, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. Well, here, if you could write down your email right here, first name, last name, email. Once the open house is over, I'll shoot those disclosures over to you. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Yeah. And I know you said at the beginning that you had just started your search. I mean, do you have an agent that you're working with, or are you just kind of doing open houses by yourself?
Yeah, we're doing open houses by myself, my wife and I. Yeah.
That sounds good. Well, hey, I don't want to take up much of your time, but you know, I would love to, if you'd be open to it, if we could take 10 or 15 minutes, you know, via Zoom, or maybe even if you can come back here at 4 o'clock. I should have my signs picked up at around 4:15, maybe meet with you in person or via Zoom for 10 or 15 minutes, just to kind of go over your search and the buying process, if you'd be open to that.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like an idea.
All right. And like I said, you don't have to commit to anything or to commit to me. I just want to kind of get a sense of what you're looking at and see if I might be able to apply for the job and help you out.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. So when I do open houses, right, I'm trying to get Isaac to like me. Maybe if I can get him to trust me a little bit, because I'm not coming in car salesman hard at the beginning, right? I'm a sphere of influence and open house realtor. That's my thing. That's where I get most of my deals from. So that's how, Warren, that's how I would do, get somebody to kind of like me. The other thing is, okay, so he's wearing a Jordan hat and looks like a Nike sweater. So Isaac, are you a basketball fan, man?
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah.
Love basketball.
You a Warriors fan?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm a Lakers fan, dude. I'll just say that up front. I'm sorry. I'm from Southern California, so I'm a Lakers fan. It's like, you know, we're both having kind of rough years this year, man.
Yeah. LeBron's been hurt for you guys, man, and that's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. I just don't know if either team will make the playoffs. I hope they do, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've taken Isaac's sweater and I've turned it into a 5-minute conversation about basketball. It has nothing to do with real estate. Okay, I'm trying to get Isaac to like me. Okay, I had a guy come in and he had this shirt like with this gigantic pink flamingo on it. And we had like a 10-minute phone call about pink flamingo. I mean, a 10-minute conversation about pink flamingos at the open house. It's kind of the craziest thing. But if you see something that can spark a conversation that is not real estate related, you're going to have more luck in getting someone to like you, if that makes sense. Like Isaac, if you're out looking at an open house and you get into a conversation with somebody for 5-10 minutes about basketball and it's something that you're pretty passionate about, are you going to be more open to meeting with that person for 10 minutes about your buying process?
Of course,
Right.
yes.
I hope that makes sense, guys. So the biggest thing that we're trying to do here is obviously find leads and then turn those leads into contacts. But before it goes all the way out to the bottom, before it funnels all the way down to the bottom of your funnel, or in this case, like preparing for conversion or referrals or leads or whatever, people have to know, like, and trust you. Okay. Anybody have questions with that?
Hey Travis, this is Warren. Thanks for that, sample. And I do have one thing, just want to see how you handle this situation.
Okay.
There are times when I'm doing open houses, obviously, at the beginning of the your interaction with Isaac, obviously fairly positive. So obviously let him walk around the houses, waiting for him to return. Now there are times, in some cases there are multiple times that will be other potential buyer coming in, and you'll be engaging conversation, and some of those people will just kind of walk away. So that's kind of the thing where I'm kind of trying to decide how to handle that. How to handle in terms of being, engaging with the potential customers as well as gathering information from the potential customers.
Right. So I think it's important that when they come in, that you do a good job of filtering that lead, right? Or the person that walks in. The questions that I ask, right? So you're out looking at open houses today. They say yes. How did you hear about the open house? Oh, I saw your signs, right? And then I say, oh, that's great. So my signs work, right? I have little like rebuttals to kind of everything, right? But how long have you been looking for a house, right? And then I ask, have you written an offer yet? Okay. When they answer that question, right, I can send them on and let them look at the open house. But now let's say there's 3 people in the house or 4, right? I'm really only going to focus my time on the people that answered, no, I haven't written any offers yet. For the most part, I'm only going to talk to those people when they come back. So what I've done more is I've filtered who I'm going to talk to when those 4 people are in there. Now, yes, you can talk to other people that have agents, and people have switched teams before, so to speak, right? That does happen. But if you have one buyer in the house that hasn't written any offers yet and has just started their search, and then you have 3 other ones that have written 8 offers each, you really have to focus in on just that one family and let the other 3 go, right? And that's okay. So I think you have to do as good of a job of asking the questions at the beginning when they come in, and then filtering out who is who. Okay, that's the other thing. Sometimes what I do too with my team, as well as like in the productivity program, we try to send, if possible, 2 people to every open house as well. I have the 2 people just organize what their understanding or splits or how they divvy up leads that come in or whatever. But if you have 2 people at an open house, especially how busy open houses have been the last couple of weeks, if you have 2 people in there, and you guys are comfortable with how to divvy that stuff up, usually in that situation, you won't miss anyone. Okay. But to answer your question, I would just try to be really specific about information gathering at the beginning so that you know who to focus your time on. Did that help, Warren?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. This little graphic is kind of smart. What do you guys think? Why would they put this graphic in based on what we're talking about? Strengthening relationships, lead generation. What do you guys think?
I think that the big achievement to today's achievement is the result of the small steps that we take yesterday.
Yeah, and it's like I'm looking at just this photograph right there. It looks like somebody's watering a garden, right?
Right.
So how long do you have to water the garden, so to speak, in order for plants to start growing? Right? What happens if you get lazy and you stop watering the garden? What happens to the plant?
It dries up.
Yeah, it dies, right? It dies. Your lead would be the same thing. Okay.
Right.
So how many people do you think you guys need to be talking to, let's say a week or a month, in order to get enough leads in your funnel that will then turn into contacts, that will then turn into transactions? What do you guys think with your own personal business, right? So far, how many leads need to come in that then will eventually turn into contacts, that will eventually turn into a transaction? What have you guys found so far? How many do you guys have to do? Anybody have an
Maybe
idea?
100.
So you're saying, Robbie, is that Robbie?
Yes.
So Robbie's saying possibly 100 leads need to come in. That, how many of those 100 are you hoping turn into contacts?
Well, I'm probably going to be a small handful for me. It's been, just, maybe five or six of them would turn into contacts.
And then how many of the contacts will turn into an actual closed transaction?
Well, hopefully at least one or two of them.
Okay. I think Robbie's numbers are pretty close, okay, to appropriate, okay? With the team that I'm on, we talk a lot about, and I don't know if there's any hard data to this. This is just my thought process. I have to work 10 or 11 open houses before I get one real contact that will actually close a transaction. 10 to 11 open houses. If I get 5 to 10 contacts at an open house, let's say it's 5, so that's 50. So I work 11 open houses in a row, 11 weekends in a row, 55 contacts need to go into my database. Of those 55, I'll probably, really start talking to 3 or 4 of them. Of those 3 or 4, one will turn into a transaction. That's for me. So I'm at about, 55 to 5 to 1. That's about my number. I have some people in our program that they'll come back from their 3rd open house and they're kind of dejected because, they didn't get a contact or no one wants to write an offer. What I'm saying is if you look at it statistically, guys, real estate is a numbers game. Okay. And you have to put as many people in your funnel at the top as possible. Robbie, if you're a brand new agent, you're looking at, 100 to 5 to 1, right? If you're a more experienced agent, maybe it's 50 to 5, 50 to 3 to then 1, right? So it's okay. And just because it narrows in to 3 that you're actually in communication with, those other 47 people at some point might turn into a contact for you. So just so you know it doesn't stop, right? Does that make sense? So you keep going with those other 47. I'm just saying statistically, you have to cast a really big net in real estate, and then you have to communicate with them on a regular basis, okay? That's kind of what I'm saying. This is Gary Keller shift. Once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them or you don't. Either way, you've met them, you put them into your database, you stay in touch with them forever. Okay. If you're in my coaching program, you know I say this all the time. They will hear from you every month or every quarter forever until they tell you to stop. And if they tell you to stop, my buyer's agent in Walnut Creek, he told me that he kind of got happy when somebody called him and told him to stop. Why? Why would my buyer's agent be happy that someone told him to stop? What do you guys think?
They're not wasting his time anymore.
Kind of, but what else?
No.
We already bought house.
No, he was excited to tell me that one of his leads told him to stop calling, because by that lead telling him to stop calling, he was telling me, right? He was telling me that he was operating the touch plan the right way, right? That he had reached out so many times and followed the plan that that person opted out, right? But that's okay because 15 other people didn't opt out. So why he was, it was kind of like, it was like it's a weird because it's a failure, but it's also a success story, because if Tomas wasn't contacting that person ever, would that person have opted out? Right? So at least he followed the plan, right? All the way to the end. So this says stay in touch with them forever. I agree. Stay in touch with them forever until they tell you to stop calling. Okay. So this one right here, lead generation, lead follow-up turns into a transaction. What do you guys, and we did this in the previous class I was in, if you have a buyer and they buy a house, right? So let's say they buy a house today, okay? When will they possibly do another transaction with you? What is the typical time frame?
5 to 7 years.
Yeah, Keller Williams says 7 to 10 years, but 5 to 7 is what I'm seeing now, right? Yes. So if the timeline for this buyer that I have is 5 to 7 years before I'll get another transaction, somebody break out a calculator, right? How many times will, let's say Julia was my buyer, how many times at a minimum will Julia hear from Travis, me, in 10 years?
Once a quarter.
Well, I'll tell you, like, so you're a past client of mine, okay? Depending on what our relationship is, sometimes it might be awkward to call them every month, so you turn it into a quarter, but I'm just gonna say, Julia, I'm gonna set up Julia in a monthly neighborhood nurture email, okay, that will go out every month. So she's gonna hear from me one time a month, right? Julia is also gonna get a phone call from me. So somebody make sure we get a calculator going here, okay? Julia is also gonna get a phone call from me once a month too, so we're at 24 times now, 24 touches a year, right? I know when Julia's home anniversary is, right? So I'm gonna call her or send her a card on her home anniversary. That's 25 touches, right? I'm gonna find out when Julia's wedding anniversary or Julia's birthday is, okay? So 25, 26, 27. I'm at 27 touches now, right? Home anniversary, wedding anniversary, birthday, neighborhood nurture email, right? And monthly phone call, right? So 20, let's just say at a minimum here, I'm also probably going to invite Julia to our yearly pie giveaway that we do around Thanksgiving, right? So that, let's say we're at 28 times, 29 times, okay? I'm also going to mail Julia a, St. Patrick's Day lottery ticket kind of a thing. We just did that with everyone 30 times. 30 times. How many touches is Julia going to get from me in a 10-year period if I'm reaching out to her 30 times a month? I mean, 30 times a year. Somebody do the math.
300 times.
What was that?
300.
It was 12 months.
300 times.
300
How many?
times.
Yeah, but
300.
there's 12 months in a year, but yes, let's just say at a minimum 300 times, okay? Before I do another transaction with Julia, Okay, now, when I send Julia out to door knock a neighborhood, right? And I give Julia a script and she knocks on the doors in those neighborhoods, right? What do you think what is Julia and I looking for? When they knock on the door, what is she looking for?
Looking for listing.
Okay, but in order for us, every seller had a realtor before, is that correct?
Mm.
Unless you're a new build, but every seller had a realtor before, correct? What do you guys think the chances of Julia knocking on one of my past clients' door? What do you think the chances of Julia's door knocking being successful with a client of mine that has heard from me 300 times in 10 years? Is she going to have any success?
No,
No.
likely no.
What would happen if I would have contacted Julia, 30 times a year for 2 years, and then from year 3 to 10, I just never really called her anymore. It just totally dropped off. What is Julia's success rate on that door knock in year 8?
Mm.
Pretty high.
Solid, right? Okay,
Yes.
so what I'm looking for when I send agents out door knocking, we're looking for that one door of the realtor that totally dropped the ball. Right? Does that make sense? Looking at it like that? So when I talk to people about these lead conversions and lead follow-ups, make sure that you're not the agent that drops the ball. Okay? This includes sphere of influence, right? So, let's say my son plays competitive ice hockey. On his ice hockey team, there's 15 sets of parents, right? From those 15 sets of parents, I've already done 4 real estate transactions, right? I would think I failed if one of those parents used another realtor instead of me, based on the amount of time that I'm around this group of people, unless they had a realtor that connected with them 300 times in the last 10 years. It's hard for me to break into that. Okay, but every little thing you have, right? Every little sphere of influence, it could be, parents at your kid's school. It could be co-workers of your husband or wife at their work. It could be neighbors that you live around. It could be past clients. All of those scenarios are people that you need to set up plans, communication plans with, and then continue to touch them over time. Because the same thing applies to the person that I'm sending Julia out to door knock. The same thing applies, to Robbie's wife's co-worker friends that she hangs out with quite a bit, where he's around them, right? It's the same thing, right? If you get in their mind's eye that you're a real estate agent, right? When it comes time to buy or sell real estate, which at the beginning I talked about David, who's looking at the new builds in Brentwood, why he ended up calling me is because when he decided he wanted to buy, he's probably got, I've known him for 2 years, so he's got 48 contacts from me, right? He's got 48 contacts from me. But what happened was I was so specific about it that when he decided he wanted a new build, right? Who did he call? You want to become that person. So I just wanted to make sure that as we go forward, lead generation, relationship building, that's a long game. You're not going to get anything really, really quick for the most part. Okay, sometimes somebody will come into an open house and they'll just want to write on that house specifically. That's fine. That does happen sometimes. Okay, but I want you guys to frame relationship building in this business as something that takes a long time. Okay. Anybody have questions or anything about that? When I talked about this, I mean, not talked about this, but when I saw this, it really made me think about kind of how I'm doing things too. But it's how many agents are interviewed by buyers or sellers. Okay, numbers are pretty similar. So let's just say 75%. Okay, so 75% of sellers, 74% of sellers, sorry, interview only one real estate agent. 74%, which really means there's really not much out there for everyone else. Does that make sense? 15% interview 2 agents. Okay, so your goal moving forward as a selling agent or as a listing agent, you want to become one of two possible agents that someone knows with, you know, what would that be? 70, 80, 90% of your database or sphere of influence or friends and family. Because all 90% of the people that you interact with are going to interview no more than 2 real estate agents, right? Also, on the buy side, it's the same thing, right? If you guys look at the numbers. Okay, how many people how many people do you guys know that already knows a real estate agent?
Practically everyone knows at least 1 or 2.
Okay, yeah, I totally, okay, so if everybody knows 1 or 2 real estate agents, with you as somebody that doesn't know this person, statistically, what are your chances? Would you say 15%?
Probably 10-15%.
Yeah, it's not great, right? It is low, 10-15%, something like that. Okay. Now, if you have wedged yourself in to 90% of your database, and let's say 50% of those people, 50% of those people now consider you one of their 2 agents that they know, like, and trust, right? That is what you guys got to get to, right? So it's mind share positioning, right? And that has to be specific with everyone that you interact with. Okay, my mentor told me the other day that everyone you interact with is a possible real estate transaction, every single person. When I drive through my neighborhood, I'm looking at houses and I'm like, man, that house is worth 30 grand to me. That one's worth 30 grand. That one's worth 30 grand, every single house. So I need to figure out, how do I get inside of those sellers' mind's eye so that I'm one of the 2. If I'm not one of the 2, I have no chance. Which is why farming, right? Which is why farming takes 18 months. Because how many realtors will mail a card to the same address 18 months in a row? How many? What do you guys think?
Not many.
Not many. I've had people in our program that do it for like 2 months and then they quit doing it, right? Most real estate agents don't have the time and patience and the motivation or the drive in order to successfully farm a neighborhood and or farm a sphere of influence, right? And or farm a friends and family network or whatever. Okay, so it's really important that we get into this space or thinking about things, that it's a long play. It takes a long time in order to nurture that many people inside of your funnel. Okay, I'm not trying to scare anyone. What I'm trying to say is, if you actually do the work, 90% of realtors are lazy and you'll be able to pass them by. You just have to do the work. Okay. Convert contacts to close business, remain top of mind, and then it doesn't stop, right? So let's say you get a lead at an open house, it takes you 10 months, you turn that lead into a contact, you start showing that person houses, you sell the house to them, you know, now they're a past client of yours. I mean, now they're just hearing, it continues on forever. It never stops. Okay. I have an agent that I'm working with in Sacramento, and she's closed around 400 transactions in her life. She's been doing real estate for like 20 years. We're doing a dive into her database right now. And we're looking up addresses of houses she sold like 8, 9 years ago. And we ran into a couple houses that have since sold. And she was kind of shocked, right? She was like, oh my God, I didn't even know they sold their house. So then it led me to ask some questions, right? So how many times have you connected with the owners of 123 Main Street that you sold them the house 7 years ago? Her answer was probably none. So what she does is she sells the house, she gives them a closing gift, and then she doesn't communicate with them anymore. So what we found was like 20, 25% of her past clients were going with new realtors, right? When they sell their house 7 or 8 years later. So we did like a calculation of how much money she lost by not staying in touch with her past clients. I mean, the number was staggering. Now, she has a lot of skill and a lot of talent, and she's able to just continue to generate new leads. But what she isn't doing is following up with her past leads, because she's looking at every transaction as a business transaction. She's not creating relationships with people over time. Okay. So what I've worked on with her now is I've set her up in Command, and she has all of the touch plans all laid out. So it's super organized from a system standpoint. I think a lot of times too, the problem with realtors as you guys start in real estate, I think at the beginning for me, when I only had 10 past clients, it was easy for me to continue to talk to them. Like I remembered their address. I remembered what city they lived in. You know, some of them I had their phone numbers memorized, right? So I call them every month or whatever. It's just, I can get in my car and I can just call them. But once 10 turns into 50, and once 50 turns into 75, there's no way that you can do that unless you have a system in place. Okay. The cool part about Keller Williams is we have a system that is set in that can help us create relationships over time. Okay. By staying in touch with past clients, you will be the one that lists their house. Some people will buy a second house. Some people will give you guys referrals. Okay. So far of all the stuff we've talked about, any ahas, any feedback, anything that's happened to you guys that's similar on either side of this? Anybody have anything to share?
I loved your script on open house. Sorry.
Sorry, say that again.
I loved the scripts that you normally have it for open house, and how to collect information, without directly asking them if you're working with a realtor or asking for their contact information. That was very good, I think.
If you want to email me, I will send you that script via email. So my email is travis.clark@kw.com. travis.clarke@kw.com. If you email me, I'll send you that open house script. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything else?
Travis, is Isaac. Yeah. Just learning the difference between a lead and a contact. I think in some other settings, it's always just been like we just use leads, but now knowing that once the conversation goes 2 ways, if that lead becomes a contact.
Yeah.
That was one aha that I had today.
Yeah. I think that's good. It's a good way to look at it, right? You can't categorize every lead the same way, right? Somebody that I've closed a deal with, I'm communicating with that person different, right? Maybe I'm sending him specific market information about his neighborhood. Like that's a little bit different than somebody I've randomly met at an open house. So categorizing each lead a little bit different, I think, is important as well. Anybody else have anything?
I like how, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Travis, so I got 2 people from my open house. It's a family. They were looking to buy a house, but they need more information about like how the process works. And I spoke with them. They talked to me and they said, I want to work with you because you gave me all the proofs and facts. But then yesterday I tried to make an appointment with them with the lender. And then how long you had to be in constant following up with them, because they gave me their contact, they gave me their phone number, they gave me their email, but how often you have to be in contact with them if they
So
want to buy.
do you utilize Command right now? Like, do you have the app on your phone? Do you put that contact into Command? Like, how do you process that?
So I put it on the command. They synchronize with my phone every time when I add someone in my contact. And after that, I tried to make the smart one, but I'm not sure which smart one should I use for, for a buyer.
Okay. What I'm gonna do, you guys, is I'm going to just gonna kind of show you this slide, and then I'm gonna move over to Command. I'm gonna take like 10 or 15 minutes and just show you guys how I use Command, and I'm gonna use Adrian. I'm gonna use your scenario as like just to show you what I would do in Command for that. Okay. So this is Keller Williams touch plan model, 19 to connect, 36 to convert. So the person on the left, that's a lead. The person on the right, okay, that's a connection, right? So that's, you've received two-way communication from the one on the right, okay? So this one, obviously my numbers, like how I do things is a little bit different, but in the 19 to connect, they're saying, you meet somebody at an open house, you put them in your database. They're saying to set them up on a quarterly call plan, right? They're saying to put them on a monthly email or newsletter so they hear from you every month, and they also get a phone call from you every quarter. And then they get 2 touches randomly throughout the year, such as a magnet, a calendar, something you mail them if you have their address. And then just 1 random touch, which is inviting them to whatever you do with your clients, right? An annual event, a pie, going to a bar for drinks, like we do pints and pies, for example, right? So we hand out pies, and then, we have beer and hand out pies to all of our past clients. 36 to connect. So what they've done is they've just upped the amount of touches, right? They're still doing 4 phone calls a year, 26 touches, bi-weekly emails. So the biggest change is now that you know someone's interested in actually buying. So in this thing, Keller Williams is saying to up your touches from once a month email to twice a month, right? And then, 4 other touches throughout the year, right? That's kind of where the numbers change a little bit. Promotional or direct mail, such as a magnet, calendar, marketing report, etc. So if you get somebody that's communicating with you back and forth and they're super interested, that's like 36 to convert, right? 19 to connect, that's somebody like kind of a medium to cold lead. You met at an open house, but you got their contact info. They should be hearing from you 19 times a year, okay? That person responds to something, wants to go see houses, like my buddy David that I talked to you about. In this case, I'd have him on a 36 to convert model, okay? Does everyone understand that, like the difference between the two? And then I'm gonna go into Command right now and show you guys how I set this up, okay? Anybody have questions before I do that? All right. Can everyone see my command?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so it's like kind of condensed, so I want to.
Make sure you just go into full screen at the top.
Yeah, can you guys can see my whole screen, the left bars on
Yep.
the left side? Yeah, everybody sees this?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so a couple things that we'll want to do before you even get started, right? Is click on the Smart Plans button right here. Because a lot of times these are the smart plans that I have in mine right here, okay? I think I'm in my team. I'm gonna go into my personal one. All right. So these are the smart plans that I currently have set up right now in my system, but for you guys, let's go to the smart plan library. Now, I would surf around in here, see if there's any that you guys like. There was an agent the other day on our call that had this 8 to 8 new contact engagement. I think that's okay. The problem with that is the question that I asked was, well, what happens after the 8th contact? Right? And then it just stops, right? Which means you're going to contact that person 8 times, maybe it's 8 months. And then if you forgot about that person in your database, they're never going to hear from you again. Okay, so how long did I say you should be in touch with somebody? Before you get any kind of conversion back and forth, how long?
Around 30.
And we're saying 18 months. Right, so they need it, 18 months of communication before, it could turn into something for you. So if you're only communicating with somebody 8 times, this plan, the 8x8, that's only going to work in conjunction with other ones. Okay, so I'm gonna have you guys add in, so write this down, add in to your smart plan library. Okay, this one right here, monthly call plan. So you would click add to smart plan right here. Once you click add to smart plan, it adds it to your smart plan folder. Let's do quarterly call plan. So this one, quarterly call plan, click add to smart plan, add that in, okay? Monthly neighborhood nurture email, right here, let's add that. And then bi-weekly neighborhood nurture email, we had it at the beginning, right?
Scroll down, it's the Keller Williams sponsored one.
There it is, right here, bi-weekly neighborhood nurture email. Okay, so those are the 4 smart plans that at a minimum, I want you guys to have in your thing. So once you click on library, add those 4 smart plans, now those smart plans will show up in your My Smart Plans. It will also show up in your app. So then you can give smart plans to people on your phone. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's just go to contacts. So Adrian, let's unmute you here, okay? Because you're going to talk to me here. Adrian?
All right.
All right, I'm going to click add contact. All right, so I'm going to add you, okay, Adrian?
All right.
Is that how you say your name? Pronounce it?
Yeah, Adrian. That is correct.
What's your email, Adrian?
Adrian, B as a Victor, at kw.com.
Is that correct?
Let me know. I'll check on that.
Adrian, what's your phone number?
40A 5081954.
This is typically the information that you're gonna get from somebody at an open house. So at a minimum, even if you just get their phone number, it's fine. You can set them up on a monthly call plan. If you get their email and not their phone number, that's fine. Just put it in with just the email, and then we can set them up on something else, okay? So from here, I'm gonna scroll down, lead source, open house, right? I can tag it as a lead, meaning I just met you at an open house. Tags, I tag things just so that I can search. Raymond does classes on command, so he can walk you guys through this before. But there's an agent that I work with named Amy. She refers me a lot of business. So if it comes from Amy, I just tag it Amy, for example. If I tag buyer, okay, so you're a buyer, whatever. But for this, I'm just gonna say productivity coaching because it's what I'm doing right now, right? I add more for you guys though, it would just be probably open house or sphere of influence or my wife's friends or whatever you want to categorize it as. Okay, click add more. So I'm going to add more contact information. Okay, so Adrian, what is your mailing address? I'm going to end up deleting this out though, just so you know, but what's your mailing address?
Okay, 4395 Silverberry Drive.
Silver?
Yeah, Silverberry Drive.
That one? Okay, so I've entered in his address. Okay, so if you meet somebody at an open house and you don't know their real address, just write in the address of the open house that you met them at, because obviously they're interested in that neighborhood or they wouldn't have came to your open house. Now, in the notes section of the contact, I would write address listed is not his real house. That's the open house I met him at. Just so in the future, if you need to change it or update it, maybe in a year, you'll remember, okay, I need to find out this guy's real address. Okay. But now I know what his address is. I can put in all the different social media platforms in here if I want. Okay. But what I'm going to do next is about, all right. So Adrian, what's your birthday, month and day? I don't need year.
October 25th, 1997.
So I don't need to put in the year. I can just leave it here. Okay. If you were a past client of mine, I can put in when we closed on our house. That will also alert me. What company you work for, what job. There's all sorts of info I can put in. Okay. But now I have your email, your phone number, your date of birth, and your mailing address, correct? It's a lot of information for me. Okay. So I'm going to create this contact. So now it shows up right here. Okay. Source change. I met you at an open house. I'm going to click note because I always try to do this right away, especially if I met you at an open house. Then I would write in right. That's what I would write. You guys see that? If you met him at an open house. That's just so when I go into my notes section, I can review what I've said to him, what I've done. Also, on the left side here, there's a little map that shows up. This is the neighborhood that he lives in. I can just click Park Place, let's say. So what I've done is Berry Park and Park Place will now show up in the email that I send him. I also can click Add Neighborhood. I can manually type in a neighborhood or just click Find on a map. When you get to the map feature here, remember, you just met this person at an open house, right? So I'm just gonna, you can't do this on your app. You have to do this part on your computer. But I'm gonna, let's say I met him at an open house, so maybe he's interested in this neighborhood, and this neighborhood. So I'm gonna click those 3. You can click up to like 6. Maybe you know that they're also interested in Cupertino. So if he is also interested in Cupertino, right, then I can scroll into Cupertino, right, and then, okay, cool. I'm gonna attach him to the Nimitz neighborhood in Cupertino. So he's gonna get an email for all those neighborhoods. You guys see how these are the tagged neighborhoods that show up? If I go to timeline, it shows all the neighborhoods that I subscribed him to. It also shows the note that I put in, so I can get to this all from my phone also, right? So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set smart plans. So I go to smart plans, I click add to smart plan. I'm gonna do a monthly neighborhood nurture email. Click on it. I have to tell you guys this in like full disclosure, make sure people aren't on do not call lists, okay? It gives you a little warning here, okay? Start now. So Adrian, you're about to get this from me. When you get it, can you email it back to me? travis.clark@kw.com, okay?
Sure.
I also can click start it later. So like if I met him at an open house, maybe I want to start this tomorrow. I don't want him to get an email from me right away. That seems kind of needy, right? So I'll just send this neighborhood email starting tomorrow. If you meet somebody on Sunday, start the email on Monday, okay? But I want to start it now because I want him to email it back to me, okay? Okay,
Hey, Travis,
yeah.
quick question about the smart plan. That's kind of, I think, my question is that obviously there's a bunch of different smart plan, but like every single one of them that we activate, let's say there's 4 of them. So is it true that all 4 of them, when you activate, the recipient will get a notification right away, regardless what type of smart plan that is? Is that?
No, it depends on the smart plan. So
Okay.
if it's a smart plan that's going to automatically send someone something, then
Yes.
yes. But
Okay.
most smart plans are generally tasks that you're supposed to do.
Yes.
So it'll be a smart plan telling you, hey, you need to call this person or
Yeah,
send
that's
them
what
an
I
email or
think
send
too.
them a
But I
text.
just want to confirm. I wasn't so sure before I want to do any of those, but all right, thank you.
So the 4 smart plans that I had you put in your library, you're only going to activate 2 of the 4. And it depends on how much interaction you want. So I just did a monthly neighborhood nurture email with Adrian. If Adrian is buying a house for sure, I'd put him on a bi-weekly one. So he gets an email every 2 weeks, right? If it's like a longer play, then just do the monthly one, okay? So I'm gonna go add smart plans again because I need to add the other one. So I'm gonna do monthly call plan or quarterly call plan. Monthly call plan is somebody that, you know, you're comfortable calling them every month. If you feel it's awkward or they would be like, why does this guy call me every month? If you think it's gonna be awkward, then just set it up on a quarterly call plan. But for the purposes of this, I'm gonna do monthly call plan. Once again, it lets you start it now, or it says, you know, start on the following date. So I can set it for, okay, it's going to alert me to call him on Friday. Okay. Right. So I'm going to put a note in here just in case it alerts me too. So I'm going to say, right, just so I know, I'm not going to try to sell you a house next week when I get alerted to call you, Adrian. Okay. So if I go to smart plans right now, the smart plans that I'm using should show up right here. Okay. So these smart plans are now activated. Okay. So with these 2 smart plans, right, Adrian is going to get touched by me 24 times a year, correct? It's active. It will go until I turn this off. I click it here, or on this one, Adrian can opt out of the email. right? It's going to send him an email every month until he opts out or whatever. The other thing that it's going to alert me to in my to-do list every day, and can you guys see my face on the screen or just my whole screen?
Like,
Can you guys see my face also?
Yeah.
Like in the, okay. So this is the app. If you download the KW app, so up here in this little corner, this says due today. If I click due today, these are the calls that I have to make today. Okay. And so I just make sure that I do those calls. Okay. What it also does is down here at the bottom, you guys can see it. Hold on, it'll zoom in. All right, there. One of the categories is birthdays. If I click birthday, it tells me whose birthdays are this month or coming up, right? So remember, I asked what Adrian's birthday is, right? So it's going to alert me a month in advance to mail Adrian a card or call Adrian. So now, how many touches do I have with Adrian already? Just with these two smart plans and the birthday, how many do I have with him?
like 4.
No, dude, in a year, how many
Oh, in a
touches?
year. Oh,
25.
25. 25, that's correct. Keller Williams recommends 19. All right, I'm giving you 25 right here. You can go off of the Keller Williams model and set the birthday thing, mail him a card, quarterly call plan, monthly neighborhood nurture, what I get to 19. But if you just do this, monthly neighborhood nurture, monthly call plan, if you can figure out what their birthday is, if their friends or family sphere of influence, that gets you to 25. If you don't know their birthday, you just met them at an open house. This client, Adrian, you're going to hear from me 24 times a year until you call me and you say, you know, Travis, I'd really love to buy a house. At that point, right, I'm going to switch you to a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture email, right? I probably will then go into the MLS and set you up on a property search, right? I mean, then it goes from 25 times to 40 times a year is what you would then be getting touched by me at that point. Does that make sense? That's that difference. That's that difference between lead and connection, okay? So Adrian, can you email me what I emailed you or through the thing?
oh, unfortunately, Adrian left. He had to leave.
Okay, so give me a second. So does everyone understand command or how to do what I just did before I move over and show you what the email looks like?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can everyone go into command and at a minimum set up everyone in their database on at least a monthly call plan or a quarterly call plan? If you know their addresses, put them on a neighborhood nurture email, right? Can you guys do that with every single human in your database? Okay. So what I'm going to do, so I have to stop this, right, Raymond, to then get over to my email, right? Okay, give me a sec.
Just a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a way, let's say I have 300 contact in my list, okay? Is there any way to choose all of them at the same time? And
Yes. Can I share my screen real quick and just go over how to do that?
Thank you.
Let me open up my command. So this is the part where tagging your database is going to be the most vital. That way you can know exactly who you want to put on a specific smart plan. But the way you're going to do that is Okay. So once your command loads up, you're going to go into your contacts, the contacts tab. Sorry, my command's a little slow. I have an older computer. Okay, so I'm just going to pretend for the sake of time that all of these are open house leads, right? So what I would do is over here, I would just select each one that I want to put into a specific smart plan. All these are my open house leads right here. And then up here, you're going to do select bulk action. And here you can either tag them, you can add notes to all of them, you can add them to an email list or add to smart plan. And then your smart plans are going to open up here. And then you can just select your, you know, whichever one, your quarterly call plan, monthly call plan, or your monthly neighborhood nurture. Now for the neighborhood nurture though, you're going to have to kind of do individually because you got to click into each one and add them to specific neighborhoods for them. So that's really the only one that you need to click in there, you know, to add those for them.
Was that your question?
Yes, and just for phone calls, I'm not asking about phone calls. What about the other smart plans? Is it automatically sent to all the clients or not?
So
Some of them
most of the time it doesn't notify them that they're on a smart plane unless it's something that sends to them, right? So like one of the only ones that will be sent to them is the neighborhood nurture, right? Because it's sending them. Here, I'll show you what it looks like right here. You guys can see my email, right?
Right.
So this is what the neighborhood nurture looks like. It'll have your picture, your contact info, it'll have their name, and then whatever neighborhoods they're in, it's going to send them the properties that are active in their area and what's pending and what the market stats for that area is as well. So this is one of the only ones that
they'll get that email. They'll get that email from you every month, right? Some people open it, some people don't, but the reality is your name shows up in their you know, in the email box every month also. So when they're scrolling through, they see Travis Clark. Every month they see Travis Clark. Sometimes they delete it, sometimes they open it, doesn't matter. They just see my name, you know, they're getting a call from me. So for you guys, like, don't worry about all the other smart plans until you get good at this, right? There's 2 smart plans that you need to have in place, right? Monthly or bi-weekly neighborhood nurture email. And monthly and quarterly call plan, monthly or quarterly call plan. That's it.
Travis, I have a question. You say open house we met, but what open house follow-up? I saw open house follow-up.
Yeah, that's
like Travis said, don't worry about all of them. Just get them on the call plan. Now, if Julia, you're a little bit more experienced in command because I've been working with you. So in situations where you have like specific conversations with people, then you might need to set them up on a different plan tailored to them because every, you know, conversation is going to be different, right? Some people you might need to be following up with every day versus someone you follow up every other day, or depending on how hot or cold they are.
So if they are motivation to buy house, so I need to put my open house follow up and plus bi-weekly, right?
Just worry about the bi-weekly and then the call plan for right now.
Okay.
And then just make sure you're also trying to get appointments at the open house, right? If you can get your appointments, then you really don't need any other smart plan. Smart plans should only really be utilized if you couldn't get the appointment and you need to keep in touch with them long term.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, does everyone make sense? Like I'm trying, if I make it as simple as possible, right? Simple as possible. You guys need a monthly or quarterly call plan. You need a bi-weekly or monthly neighborhood nurture email. Just with that, you're either at 16 or 24 touches a year, or up to 36 if you use the bi-weekly one. That at a minimum is 100 times more than what you're currently doing, right? Typically in general. So those are the things that I would set up at first. And then as you get more advanced or as you start connecting with people a little bit more, more will come. Okay. Now remember, once you set them up in a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture email or a monthly or quarterly call plan, if you're using the KW app, that app will then alert you on when you're supposed to call them, or when you're supposed to send them a birthday card, or when you're supposed to send them or call them about their home anniversary or whatever. It sets all that up for you. Okay. It does it all through the app. All right. So long story short, like on this whole class today, right? The most important part is creating relationships. Remember, people aren't going to do business with you typically unless they know, like, and trust you. Okay. And relationship building from a business point of view, look at it in terms of it's going to take a while, and strap yourself in for like a longer play. Okay. Right. 12 to 18 months of contact before someone is going to do business with you, and possibly, 30 touches a year, 24 to 30 touches a year while you're doing that. Okay.
I saw 2 buyers viewed today.
You what?
I saw 2 buyers viewed my smart plan,
Perfect. There you go. And they didn't delete it, they just viewed it, so that's good.
And one unsubscribed and one.
Nice. So if anyone, like I said, if anyone wants the open house script, if you're not in productivity coaching with me, I'll give you the open house script. Just email me and I'll forward it to you. If anyone wants to try productivity coaching, we do scripts calls Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8:30 in the morning, every week, 4 days a week of scripts practice. So if you ever want to jump into that and kind of see what that's like, ask me in the email and I'll add you to it. Julia does scripts every week with us. I know there's some other people on here. We have on our scripts calls, we have anywhere between like 6 and 20 people on the calls. We break into breakout rooms and go through scripts kind of for a half hour in the morning just to get everyone's day going. If you have questions about commands specifically, email myself or Raymond and we'll get this set up. But I'm just telling you guys this as blunt and open as possible. Gary Keller spent millions and millions of dollars creating this technology for us. It's behoovant of you to utilize it unless you're using an outside CRM source. Okay. You want to make sure that every one of your contacts, open house leads, sphere of influence, friends and family, everybody is in there. Everybody is tagged. Everybody's on the appropriate smart plan, and that you're following up with it. And then you take time every day to manage this process. If you do that, right? If you do that, it will turn into transactions for you for sure. Okay. Anybody have any questions at all for me today?
Yes, Travis, I have it. I wanted to ask you, in your experience, what do you think about text messages?
Sometimes I do text messages instead of calling the person, it just depends. My monthly call, for example, when it alerts me on my app, it'll say, do you want to call, text, or email the person? So I'll do one of the 3, every month, but texting is fine. Remember, it's just a contact and you're staying in front of them. I would not text every time because I think texting is impersonal, right? It's not a personal connection.
It's also a good idea to sometimes ask what they prefer to be contacted by, because if some people don't like calls, then you can put that as a note on your command and say, hey, they prefer text only, or some people only prefer calls or emails.
Yes.
The best thing, honestly, and I've said this to a lot of people in my classes, it's the best thing. I have these 4 calls I have to make today. It's like, I'm hoping 2 or 3 of them go straight to voicemail, right? Because then I don't get in a 30-minute phone call with them today. I get to just say, hey, Julia, it's Travis. I was just checking in on you. Hope all is well. If you need anything, reach out. All right. I was just checking in on you. And then I hang up. That's it. They'll listen to that. They'll hear my voice. They know I'm there, but I don't need to get into a 30-minute phone call with Julia. It's just a quick little check-in, right? So I love it when in these scenarios, if I'm making 100 calls a day, if half of them are voicemails, that's great.
Yeah, for me, I prefer to text because when I text them, and they will always remember me, and they can check history we chat, you know. So, and they always can text me back later. Don't have to, you know, immediately.
I wouldn't do it as the only thing though, Julia, right? You need to make phone calls and you need to, you know, remember, you are creating a relationship, right? You do not have to go for the sell right away. Remember, people need to like you, know you, and trust you in order to do real estate, right? So that's really what you're working on, okay? Sometimes that process takes a little while. Sometimes it's quicker than others, okay?
Okay, I have a quick question. You know, remember last time we did the buy consultation, and guys, I follow up. I ask them, you know, because you try to get the lender, right? Get the pre-approval. So, and ask them, I say, when are you available to go to look house this weekend? So they said that they told me the end of this month. So, and the next step, how do I to contact them? Ask a lender, pre-pro information?
You don't need the pre-approval information yet with these people. I was on that call with you, right? They're a couple months out. I wouldn't push too hard right at the beginning, right?
Okay.
I would just check in with them. Hey, have you talked to one of the lenders yet? Do you have any questions, right? With them, I think it's important that you show them houses. They said at the end of the month, okay, cool. So do you want to do end of the month or just early next month? I just want to make sure I block that weekend off. So, you know, maybe we can look at houses on Saturday the 1st. I'll block off from 10 to 2. How does that sound? And then, you know, they'll say, yeah, that works. And they'll say, okay, as it gets a little closer, I'll send you some properties that we can view. That's how I would do that.
Okay, thank you.
And you and we can talk offline a little bit about it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, well, thank you guys. You guys have my email if you have questions. If I would really like to see some of you guys on the scripts call tomorrow or Thursday, if anyone's interested in jumping on, if you haven't been on it before. If you want that, please email me and I'll get you access to it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Travis.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Travis.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.